one. Do you agree with the district's law? Sorry, we're going to start with Anna. I just want to tee you up for that. Do you agree with the district's lawsuit against the expanded Ed Choice program in Ohio? And would you continue the district's participation if elected? That's part one. And part two is, do you consider yourself an advocate for public schools? Why or why not?
Yes, I agree with the lawsuit. I teach a class at Harvard on how to advocate. And what I tell my students is you need a plan and you need a team. So a lawsuit like this is a way that Forest Hills can team up with other public schools and advocate for what we need most, which is fair funding for public schools. I strongly believe that public schools should be funded by public dollars. And so when it comes to something that affects not just all of Forest Hills, but public school students across Ohio, teamwork is the name of the game. So to me, that's one of the most effective ways to move that forward. What was the second part?
And the second part was, do you consider yourself an advocate for public schools? Why or why not?
Absolutely. To me, being pro-public school is a number of different things. I went to public school K through 12 and also in college. But to me, the biggest part of it is being willing to advocate, being willing not just to accept the decisions that come to you on the board, but to say, what is the best thing that we can do to give our kids the best chance of going to the most excellent school we can provide here in Forest Hills. So public school advocacy means going above and beyond and doing all of those things. It might mean going to Columbus to advocate. It might mean advocating in a lot of different ways. It might mean building consensus here in the community, and I'm willing to do all of those things and have that. That's what it means to me to be pro-public schools.
Thank you. Forrest, would you like me to repeat any of this? Okay.
So there's the vouchers are, it is, you know, we bring up the political parties, and it is a Republican thing. And it is something that it's not going away. We have a super majority in the state, so it is part of our reality. My view of it, and there's a lot of push to have quote-unquote universal vouchers. Well, I'm actually cool with universal vouchers, meaning everyone gets the same amount. If our kids, our public kids, could get $6,000 or $7,000 and give it to Forest Hills, we wouldn't need a levy for our lifetimes. We get about $2,000 from the state, but yet the state says that education is worth $6,000 or $7,000 depending on the level of education, for whether it's primary school or secondary school. So if we could just make it fair, we're golden, okay? And all public schools would be golden. As far as pro-public education, I mean, I've said it in my first, I'll say it at the end. I'm in this, I've been this in the long haul. Every part of my being is positive for public education. More kids are in public education than any private education ever. So we are responsible for our kids. The public education is the education for the majority of Ohioans. So that's what we're here for.
Thank you. Okay, Mark.
I am absolutely a proponent of joining the lawsuit, as evidenced by my vote to join the lawsuit back at that board meeting. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's the obvious answer. Public schools are being done a disservice with the way the structure is currently set up. I completely agree with Forrest. If they just treat everybody the same and say, hey, we're going to give everybody a check for $5,000, go where you want to go, we would never need another levy. We are good to go. That doesn't bother me at all. I think it's completely inequitable how it's currently being run. It's why I end up getting yelled at by some of my fellow Republicans, because they're like, how can you disagree? I disagree very simply because if I'm sitting on this board and I'm running for a public board, I'm always going to support the public schools. I don't care what the Republican, what the Democratic position is. This is a nonpartisan position. If you're a member of the public school board, you should always support public schools. So clearly, I'm an advocate of public schools. I'm a product of public schools. My kids are a product of public schools. Without public schools, honestly, I have no idea what my youngest daughter would have to her. I'm like, wait, I need a warning, quick.
Thank you, Mark. Jeff?
The answer to the two questions are yes and yes. Yes, I agree with joining the Ed Choice expansion lawsuit. Yes, I'm an advocate for public schools. I disagree with some of these folks on one thing, though. It is absolutely not enough to even out the size of the voucher payment between private schools and public schools. The Ohio Constitution in Section 3 Article 6 says provisions shall be made by law for the organization, administration, and control of the public school system supported by public funds. That is a constitutional mandate in this state. Public money should not be used for private schools. The biennial budget that was passed at the end of June allocates about $2 billion to public schools. If Forest Hills got its pro rata share of that, we'd get $8 million. $8 million check would last us well into the next decade. Imagine if we got another $8 million from the state every 2 years. That's what they're taking away from us. Public money should be spent on public schools. And yes, I'm an advocate for public schools. I'm here, I've been at every meeting for the last 3 years talking about things we can do to improve our public schools. I attended public schools, K-12, I went to law school at UC. I moved here so my kids could go to these public schools because strong schools make strong communities.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeremy?
Again, yes and yes. As far as being for the lawsuit, I think that the way that vouchers have been enacted in Ohio is inequitable at best, and at worst, it's borderline, it's dangerous for public schools. It is a significant amount of money that is being taken out of public school funds and being funneled into private entities. As Jeff mentioned, here in Forest Hills, that would equate to $3 to $4 million yearly, which would do a whole lot of good for our public school students. I think being fiscally responsible means being for this lawsuit, bottom line. If you are working for the public schools here in Forest Hills, you are for this lawsuit. Second, as far as being an advocate for public schools, this is something I've done for a very long time. I mentioned some of my levy work over the years. I've also become a willing and frequent writer to people in Columbus, a phone call to people in Columbus. I've shown up in Columbus. A couple of quick examples. 2 bills that I've written letters for in the last month against. Senate Bill 68 tries to establish ESAs, which essentially is what Forrest was saying, giving everyone a check for $6,000. In Florida, that has resulted in people going to Disneyland and buying video game systems. House Bill 153 tries to force all people running for school board to register with a party and to put that party registration on the ballot. I'm very much against that because public schools should be for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Constituents submitted several questions related